Aren't you guys sick of giving up absolute tanks like these? Ruining all the fun and can't figure out what you're doing wrong to save your life? Good thing I'm here to show you 5 reasons why you might be pitching like a gooby wooby. Alright guys, so by this point, I'm assuming we can all agree that pitching this year is nowhere near easy. But I can assure you with these 5 keys I will give you in this video, you will become a better pitcher. Reason number 1 is going to be your settings. If you're pitching on anything other than pinpoint, you are literally at a disadvantage from the devs themselves. They have said that pinpoint is by far the best pitching interface, and that is not subject to change and is not an opinion. Now to me it makes sense why they would do this, because pinpoint is by far the hardest interface, so it makes sense that if you're the best at it, you should be the most accurate. Now other settings as far as your pitching view and your controller setup are all subject to change in personal feel and opinion. As I said in my hitting video in the past, I have my pitching view the same as my hitting view just so I can get double the takes without taking double the swings. This really helps me out because I can see exactly what my opponent is seeing as I'm throwing the pitch. Therefore, if it looks easy to hit to me, it's probably easy to hit to them. Now I will show you guys my personal controller setup. I am running the Galaxy Black Control Freaks. I have both of the medium thumbsticks, neither one of them are short. And on my left stick, I do have the soft precision ring. I find that the longer stick for pitching just helps me be a little bit more accurate. It's nothing crazy. You can absolutely get by without having these, but it does help me. Now moving into probably the biggest segment in the video is timing and accuracy, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are struggling with, and that's why you came to this video. Now timing is always subject to the pitcher, and it's just kind of something that you have to get a feel for. And for those of you that don't know, before you throw the pitch, it shows you exactly how fast that you should be doing the motion for that specific pitcher and when you need to flick down. As you see here on Ohtani's cutter, it shows you exactly the time and exactly when you need to flick. Now, although you're never going to be perfect 100% of the time, we are human beings. You do need to keep a close eye on this stuff because without it, it can turn into an absolute train wreck. Now, the practice tool is absolutely something I recommend using if you're struggling with a certain type of pitch. You can come in here, you can throw it 100 times in a row if you want to. Get that pitch down pat to where you need it to be, and then go on your merry way. As far as strictly pinpoint accuracy goes, that's all it is. It's going to take practice, it's going to take repetitions. That's what baseball is in general, it's all repetition. Now your timing on the other hand is going to be a little bit different. So let's say I want to throw an up and in fastball to Acuna, right? You absolutely never want to be late on this pitch. Think about it from a real baseball standpoint. If I'm releasing the ball way back here, that means I'm releasing it early. The ball's going to go way high. If I'm releasing it on time, the ball's obviously going to go where I want it to go. If I'm releasing it late, the ball's going to go lower than I want it to go. It's just basic physics and it applies to the game. Therefore, if I throw this up and in fastball late, it's going to drop right into the zone, right into his powerhouse. But if I'm over here and I missed a flick early, the worst thing it does is it runs in and up, which is exactly what you would want on this type of pitch like that. What I'm getting at here is when you're aiming up in the zone, you want to either miss early or you want to be perfect. You never want to miss late. Miss early if anything. And the opposite applies to the lower portion of the zone. If you want to throw a slurve down and away, out of the zone, and you miss early, guess what? Hanging it right down the he's sending that 479,000 feet. But if you're perfect or late, it goes exactly where you want it to, or it drops out of the zone. Maybe you can get him to chase, maybe you can get a weak ground ball or a strikeout. Just keep that in mind whenever you're trying to hit a spot. Think, where do I want to miss if I do miss? Because I can guarantee you that none of you are going to want to miss a hanging off speed right down the Pay attention to my pinpoint on this pitch right here. Did you see how the pin dropped right back into the center before I flicked down? So whenever you finish the actual motion for your pinpoint, let your stick drop back to its original place before you flick it. Now this way you only have to do half of a flick instead of dropping it from that top and doing an entire full flick. You're only doing one little motion right here like this. Show you guys one more time. Boom. Now that's the gist of the timing and accuracy portion, which is going to make up for most of your mistakes. Now we're going to talk about the type of pitchers you guys are using and your pitch mix. If you are ever throwing a pitcher like this in Diamond Dynasty, you are going to get murdered. He has a 3-pitch mix
and it includes 0 fastballs that move. Although the circle change and the slider are great pitches, one fastball is never going to cut it. Think about this when you're adding pitchers to your lineup. Just because they have high overalls and they look like great cards doesn't mean they're always great cards. Doesn't mean they're always great pitchers. The only exception I will say to something like this is if you have a pitcher with a really funky release that you know a lot of people struggle to hit, then you can throw someone like that in. Like I have Dennis Eckersley on my Diamond Dynasty team. He doesn't have the greatest pitch mix, but I mean, he does have a sinker and he does have a really funky release. I'd say the perfect pitch mix is Corbin Burns. He has cutter, sinker, slider, circle change, curveball. Doesn't get any better than that. For those of you that don't know, sinkers and cutters are technically fastballs. It might not say 4-seam fastball or 2-seam fastball, but those pitches are fastballs. They just have a little break to them. Next, we're going to go into your pitching strategy. You always want to find your opponent's weakness and pitch to that weakness. Let's say you're playing a guy in BR or a low-rated ranked seasons game, and you're throwing a sliders outside in the other batter's box, and this dude's swinging every trip. Why would you ever throw a pitch in the zone until he stops swinging at those? Be smart against guys like that because they are a little sneaky. If they stop chasing the slider outside the zone, go fastball above the zone, curveball below the zone, circle change below the zone. Don't throw anything in the zone until he proves to you that he can hit or watch a ball. Now I'm going to use Acuna right here to give you guys a little bit of my strategy that goes through my head when I play. Alright, now although this is a computer, you can get some pretty good feedback. As you can see, I just threw a sinker with Ohtani. He's very late on the sinker. 9 times out of 10, when you're playing a real person, if you throw another sinker, they're still going to be very late. You never want to throw an off-speed in this position because they're probably going to time that up very well. If they're very late on the fastball and you throw the off-speed, what do you think that means? They're probably going to be right on time with the off-speed, and vice versa. If they're very early on the off speed and you throw a fastball right at them, they're probably going to be right on time with the fastball. Another for instance right here, just threw an up and in fastball to Acuna. He has good timing on it. Theoretically, if I throw an off speed low and away, he's either going to be very early on it and just absolutely whiff, or he might foul it off. You always want to constantly be thinking about these things. You never want to throw a pitch just to throw it. Don't just throw a pitch because you haven't thrown it in 5 at-bats. Who cares? Throw whatever's working against the opponent you're playing against. If you notice a guy sitting on the up and in fastball game, don't throw the up and in fastball. He's going to take a yard. You notice he's sitting on the low and in sinkers, don't throw the low and in sinkers. It just really has to be a constant simulation that's playing out through your mind. What's he been doing? What's he swinging at? How's his timing look? You always have to pay attention to stuff like that. And you always need to be looking at this box in the bottom left corner and look at his timing compared to the pitches that you're throwing. If you guys want a more in-depth on that, I will do a full Diamond Dynasty game where I explain every single pitch that I'm throwing and why I'm throwing it. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see that. Now, the 5th and final reason why you guys might not be pitching so well this year is hitting is simply better. If you're a better hitter this year, you are absolutely going to out-hit the best pitcher in the game. It does not matter. 100 times out of 100, it will not fail. Okay, 99 times out of 100, because you might get lucky one time. I'm sure you guys have noticed just through playing the game that you can foul anything off. I've fouled pitches off where my PCI is nowhere near the ball. I think that is stupid. I should have been struck out. Same thing for the opponent. I've gone against people that have been in 15 pitch at-bats. When does that ever happen? Okay, it happens, but very rarely does that ever happen. It's happened to me quite a few times this year already. The game's been out 2 weeks. So until they get these issues fixed, if you guys are pitching lights out and you guys are pitching well to the best of your ability, sometimes you just got to give it to your opponent. If they're making good swings on dots that you're throwing, there's really nothing you can do about it. Very rarely do you get rewarded against someone that is good at hitting the baseball. But once you guys get up to those higher ratings, that Division Series and then World Series, those legend games, these pitching tips will come in awfully handy. Even in your BR games, a lot of people can't hit. There are a few people that are lights out, like they will hit the ball every trip, but a lot of them can't. So if you're following these tips and these keys to becoming a better pitcher, I have no doubt that it will help you in your games. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to drop a like and a comment below if these tips helped you out. And don't forget to subscribe. See you guys on the next one.